Page 8. Samu. Atsumu's voice is shaken. He's panting. It's the middle of the night, cold sweat is rolling down his back. Atsumu looks around the shed dark room, he needs his brother. His brother is sleeping in the bed opposite to him. Samu. Slowly, the older twin gets out of his own bed and jumps into his brother's. Samu. He shouts. Finally, Osamu starts to blink himself awake, recognizing the silhouette of his twin in their dark room. Tsumu. Watcher, he yawns. Doing up? Osamu lets his eyes take in the moonlight's rays which shine into their room, finally processing the things around him. With that, he sees his brother's distressed expression and sighs. Osamu shifts around in his bed, sitting up and patting a spot next to him for his brother to sit formally. He knows his brother had a nightmare. What happened? Atsumu took the spot next to his brother, shifting around a bit before meeting the other's eyes. His own were glassy, red around the rims. He spoke, "HAIKYUU." The forming tears in Atsumu's eyes, along with the hyperventilating which startled Osamu. He'd never seen his brother like this. Osamu reached out his hands, offering a hug, and his brother was quick to accept. The younger twin could feel his sleeve start to get wet on his shoulder. He wasn't bothered by this. "You left." Osamu heard the words from his brother and was a bit taken aback. "What?" Atsumu got comfortable in his brother's hold as he explained. "You said that you didn't want anything to do with me and you left." He buried his face deeper, more tears leaving his eyes. "I don't want you to leave, Samu." Shh. Osamu comforted. "I won't." The older twin lifted his head, eyes red, puffy, and still crying. "Promise you won't. Promise you won't leave me," he cried. At this point, Osamu's eyes started to water as well. "I promise. I'll never leave you, Tsumu." The boys cried together. Age 18. "Tsumu, I'm home," Osamu yelled from the Jenkin of the Miya household. He'd just come back from Suna's house and he knew his parents went home, them being at some convention all day, so he hoped that Tsumu had already making dinner. He slid off his shoes and put his coat on the rack, before walking further into the house. It seemed empty. No dinner on the counter, or empty cups that his twin tended to leave out. No sound from the living room, so he wasn't watching TV. He'd thought Atsumu was home. At least, he said he would be. Weird. Maybe he's just on call with Komori and Sakusa? Osamu, confused, walked upstairs to their now separate bedrooms, and knocked on his brother's. Tsumu. The younger twin opened the door, and was met with the sight of Atsumu on his laptop, clearly on call with Bakuto Kotero, someone he'd met at Nationals last year. If Osamu remembered correctly, Bakuto-san was now a part of the MSBY Black Jackals, his brother's favorite team in the V-League. "Oi! Tsumu, what you doing?" Atsumu looked up, giddy as his fingers clearly hit the mute key. "Samu, you're back. I have great news." "And what might that be?" "The MSBY sent me an email saying that they wanted us to try out. It's an official scouting." Osamu smiled, he was ecstatic for his brother. Then, in a matter of seconds, his heart dropped, remembering what he and Suna had been talking about earlier. Remembering the acceptance letters he held in his hands for an hour, wondering about how he'll break the news to his brother. Atsumu took notice of this. "Samu. What's wrong?" "It's now or never. Tsumu, I think we need to talk." Atsumu tuned this as the time to unmute. "Hey, Ko-san, I'll call you back." "Oh, okay. Saya, Atsuku-kun." The call ended. "You promised," Atsumu yelled, from across the room. The two were now standing at opposite ends. When Osamu broke the news that he'd got accepted into the best culinary school in Japan, he didn't even think he'd make it past the first wave. Atsumu, I'm sorry. I know, I promised, but this is my chance to turn my passion into my career. You know how much this means to me. And you're just gonna leave me? Atsumu, please, it's not like that. Atsumu turned his back, his voice going back to a talking tone. When is it? When do you leave? The day after graduation. Graduation was a week away. Do Mum and Dad know? Aaron? Jinjima? Suna? Do they know that you're leaving? Yes, I got the letter a month ago. I'd asked them for their opinion, Kita-san too. He was the last person to know. Get out. Atsumu's voice was shaky. I need some time to process this. His twin, his other half, was leaving and he was the last to know. Okay. Both twins cried, separately, yet longing for the comfort of the other. Like the good old days. Age 28. Miya-san, what it is like being an extremely influential volleyball player. Since you blew up on TikTok, you and your team have gained quite the amount of attention. The reporter asked. Atsumu smiled. Well, honestly, it's been an honor. Atsumu-san. Hinata's worried voice rang through the crowd of reporters. He held a phone in hand and his hand out for the man in question. Atsumu, startled, accepted it, however hot yet putting it up to his ear. Shoyo, who is it? What's wrong? It's Suna-kun, it's about your brother. Atsumu's face dropped completely. When he answered the call on live television, he learned his brother had broken their promise once again. For good this time. Pro volleyball player and TikToker star, Miya Atsumu, finds out his brother is dead on live television. More.